and someone give you a fiver, that would set you up for so much.
Who's this someone? It depends who's giving me the fiver.
I'm not talking about you getting groomed. I mean,
Well, you said someone's giving you a fiver. I used to walk home from school and go to the chip shop on a Friday. If a random stranger went, "Here's a fiver," I'd be like, "Perfect, I can get the chips and gravy." Learning, and after 13 years in government, you think that the Conservative Party would have learnt how to run the country. Callum, have they learnt yet?
Hi, Callum Scott here, Bedlam reporter, who was Forest Stage live from the Conservative Party conference here in Manchester, where I currently am right now.
Brilliant.
No.
Fantastic. Proud.
No, they haven't.
They haven't learnt. Hello, welcome to the Bedlam podcast. My whole computer just went, nope, straight away as soon as I hit record. We've been like setting this up for like the last hour or something, and it literally just died. By the way, this wasn't in the script. So here we go. So hello and welcome to the Bedlam podcast. A place of uproar and confusion. Obviously, you'd know by now who we are. We've always said here at the Bedlam podcast that if the Conservative Party keep on bringing us content, then we will keep breaking it down for you. And over the last week, Rishi Sunak has finally given the people of Great Britain what you've been asking for.
For Britain to choose its future. To decide whether we want to build on the progress we have made or risk going back to square one with no plan and no certainty. Earlier today, I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July. This election will take place at a time when the world is more dangerous than it has been since the end of the Cold War. These uncertain times call for a clear plan and bold action to chart a course to a secure future. You must choose in this election who has that plan, who is prepared to take the bold action necessary to secure a better future for our country and our children. Now, I cannot and will not claim that we have got everything right. No government should. But I am proud of what we have achieved together, the bold actions we have taken, and I'm confident about what we can do in the future. On the 5th of July, either Keir Starmer or I will be Prime Minister. He has shown time and time again that he will take the easy way out and do anything to get power. If he was happy to abandon all the promises he made to become Labour leader once he got the job, how can you know that he won't do exactly the same thing if he were to become Prime Minister? Over the next few weeks, I will fight for every vote. I will earn your trust, and I will prove to you that only a Conservative government led by me will not put our hard-earned economic stability at risk, can restore pride and confidence in our country, and with a clear plan and bold action, will deliver a secure future for you, your family, and our United Kingdom.
So after the big announcement that Rishi is calling a general election, it's even bigger news to break down and why he's called a snap general election. Party breakdowns, trying to force his way back into 10 Downing Street. I'm having a Rishi Sunak breakdown. Oh! The 10 Downing Street by getting out the neuralizer and erasing everyone's memories.
This is called a neuralizer. It's a gift from some friends from out of town. This red eye here will isolate the electronic impulses in your brains, and more specifically the ones for memory. Oh, that's good, fellas. Give me a splay burn around the perimeter with holes at 40, 60, and 80 meters from right here. Thank you. That's good. Thank you.
What in the hell is going on?
Excellent question. And the answer you're looking for lies right here.
Who are you? Really?
Rishi.
I am just a figment of your imagination. Damn, what a gullible breed.
Well, his biggest rival over the last few years hasn't forgotten anything about the Prime Minister. Or the Conservatives, for that matter. He's back in change, which is what has been his plan since taking over as Labour leader.
Tonight, the Prime Minister has finally announced the next general election, a moment the country needs and has been waiting for, and where, by the force of our democracy, power returns to you. A chance to change for the better your future, your community, your country. Now, it will feel like a long campaign, I'm sure of that. But no matter what else is said and done, that opportunity for change is what this election is about. Over the course of the last 4 years, we've changed the Labour Party, returned it once more to the service of working people. All we ask now, humbly, is to do exactly the same for our country and return Britain to the service of working people, because we will stop the chaos. Look around our country, the sewage in our rivers, people waiting on trolleys in A&E, crime virtually unpunished, mortgages and food prices through the roof. It's all, every bit of it, a direct result of the Tory chaos in Westminster. Time and again, they pursue their own interests rather than tackling the issues that affect your family. And if they get another 5 years, they will feel entitled to carry on exactly as they are. So here it is, the future of the country in your hands. On the 4th of July, you have the choice. And together, we can stop the chaos, we can turn the page, we can start to rebuild Britain and change our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Keir Starmer, the leader of Labour. No, Labour. Well, I'm not here on my own, am I? And as you can see by the new little gumph in the top corner, that someone's here with me. Right, well, he's the chief political editor of the Bedlam podcast, and he's here to break down everything that is going on over the last week. He's the man of the moment, Mr. Callum Scott. How do?
Not too bad. It has been the busiest of busy weeks. I thoroughly enjoyed that introduction. It was very wonderful.
Thank you.
Thoughtful parts there with the leader. And just for a second, I thought that maybe you would add a little bit of realism by maybe doing the introduction from your shower. But we didn't get that.
Yeah, no. I mean, I should have done, and I didn't think that. But I mean, no one wants to see me naked, though, do they? So
No one said anything about being naked.
I mean, to be fair, I don't really want to get my good suit wet.
No, true. That wasn't a problem for Mr. Sunak, though, as he announced the snap general election in the driving rain without an umbrella.
Hang on, you missed the part. Hang on, can you just say that again for me?
Yeah, that as well. That didn't help either. Being drowned out by Mr. Steve Bray and his what looked like massive speaker blasting Tony Blair's 1997 New Labour anthem. Things can only get better by D. Ream.
Didn't he have two speakers and the amps on both of the speakers died?
And what was funny about that is that the amps had more umbrellas than Rishi Sunak did.
Yeah, it did. And when they died, they kept it going by just constantly
started
singing.
it.
Beg, whoa, you get better.
Oh my god, it's like I'm there.
I think it was quite funny that so you may have seen some of the videos going around on social media of Sir Steve Bray getting told off by the police. It was quite funny. No, I don't have the video before people start asking. I don't want to get done. Basically saying, "Oh, here's where you can and can't go," and then like while they're having the conversation with the police then turn around and went, "Oh yeah, no, you can't go there," and then started writing that road name down on the piece of paper, well, places where he couldn't go.
He then later broadcasted from one of the streets that wasn't listed. It was like, well, they've told me I can't go here and I can't go here, so we're at this street, wherever it was, like down the back of Millbank or somewhere like that. I was like, well, they can't get me here. I've fixed the amp, and now we can broadcast as much as we like. When you realise that all the cameras had gone and the Prime Minister himself had gone as well.
What, that at the back of the Conservative house or something like that?
Yeah, it was the back of Conservative CCHQ, as they like to coolly call it, a Labour campaign. Yeah.
It did find Nigel Farage as well, though, didn't it?
Yeah, but he's not hard to find. You walk in any of the local Weatherspoons around Whitehall and you'll find Nigel Farage.
I also just want to point out, so you know, like in his little promotional video that I put together like in 0.5 seconds a few weeks ago, and I can't remember what it was after, and I was literally just flipping through all my pages of shit that I've got. I've only got that today.
Not bad.
I've done pretty good, but to be fair, so if anyone had seen the last podcast that we did, because someone forgot to promote it, and it kind of hardly anyone's seen it. So yeah, so if anyone did see it, then there was a lot of in the background. So I'm guessing that's the reason why it didn't get promoted by the lead promoter.
I wouldn't know, because I actually discharged that onto the intern, and they were responsible for the promotion, which clearly they haven't done. I will be chasing that up immediately with them, because it's unacceptable.
So what I have done is I've got like some screenshots from stuff that I've seen over the last couple of days, and decided to just like send them to myself on WhatsApp. Yeah, Callum, I am back on WhatsApp. Are you surprised?
I was gonna say this was a weird one, wasn't it? But well,
yeah, it was. Why are you
surprised?
Why are you texting me? Why are you not responding to my WhatsApp messages? Why are you replying to me on Twitter but not actually replying to what I've just sent you on WhatsApp? And it was because I got banned from WhatsApp. I have no idea how it happened, but yeah, I got banned from WhatsApp.
Special move. That is a special move.
But I really don't know what happened. I was just messaging my sister because it's Father's Day coming up, and she'd sent me a photo of 2 cards. That's 4, 2 cards. And I was like choosing between which one, and literally as soon as I said which one I wanted, it just went, "You've been banned." Like,
Did you in that voice?
Well, yeah, kind of. I was a bit baffled by it. Some could say when it came up on the screen, that was my reaction. I'm
well done.
Slowly figuring out that every time I click something to add it to the stage, it just computer just goes no.
we're so professional, honestly.
As soon as I click start recording and I literally pressed the start video, and it was just like, it just went black, and I'm like, oh, this isn't good. Callum's all going to by himself. He's going to end up having to click a button or something like that to try and get everything working.
Have to do some work.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Where are we? Well, the first and major thing is Rishi Sunak has called a snap general election. Callum?
Yes, he has. Hands up, anyone who saw that coming. I hope nobody's put their hands up because that was the weirdest, quickest announcement ever. It broke a little bit the night before. There were some rumours, but there've been rumours going around for months that it's going to be a summer election. No, it's going to be a winter election. Oh no, he's going to wait until the last possible conceivable moment, and he's going to call it in January 2025. So those rumours were going around as they sort of always do, and then they started to get a little bit of traction that morning. And then there was an emergency cabinet meeting called, and when that happens, you think, right, something is going on. We've had emergency cabinet meetings for things like the day that Boris resigned, and well, the day that pretty much every prime minister resigns or calls an election, there's an emergency cabinet. You had David Cameron, who cut a trip to Albania short to come back to it. And I think Grant Shapps was supposed to be going somewhere that he decided to cancel. So you knew that it was important. It wasn't just because the Prime Minister had missed the usual cabinet slot because he was at an event, which he was, which is the way that they tried to spin it first. They tried to say, oh no, it's fine. It's all normal. Everything's fine because it's only because the Prime Minister missed yesterday that we're having it today. But, you know, cabinet meetings are not that important that people would move whole travel plans around. So you knew something was going on. And then before we know it, Podium Man is coming back outside Downing Street. The cameras are all there. He puts the podium down. The driving rain. And you think, right, we're going to see something here. Either he's going to step down or he's going to call the election. And he called the election.
I mean, it was
great happiness.
It was a bit strange because it was like, is he going to be standing down? If he's going to be standing down, the Prime Minister's logo is going to be on the front of that plinth. And everyone was like, right, perfect. Yeah, here you go. It's going to happen. And then as soon as it came out, no Prime Minister's logo on the plinth. Oh, this is a bit strange. It's going to be a general election. And everyone's thinking, right, okay, it's going to be announcing it for the summer or whatever like that. But no, it's a snap general election. Snap. Well,
snap.
Before we get onto it, one thing that I thought was really funny was within the first 36 hours. So this is from Meta. The election spending ads on Meta. Who do you reckon had the most? Who do you reckon spent the most?
Well, on social media, I'm not sure because the image that I have of, well, it's clear that the voters that the Tories are trying to communicate to at the moment are not the sort of people that would be posting status updates or Instagram stories and things like that. They're sort of people that sit in easy chairs drinking Ovaltine and watching Bargain Hunt. So I'd probably say Labour.
You would be correct, Callum. With £102,500, with a total of 283 ads, Labour top it.
I've seen that they've recently bought ads for search engines so that if anyone searches Conservative Party or Conservative Party Manifesto or why should I vote for the Conservatives, Labour ads will pop up. And I think that is very clever.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Whoever's running that campaign or that element of the campaign, well done. I bet it's Harriet Harman. I bet she's still doing it.
Just to compare with the Conservatives, Greens and Lib Dems, yes, the Greens and Lib Dems still exist. They could possibly be a correlation. Have I ever said that right?
Correlation.
I've said that right? No, I've not said that right. With you questioning that. Between Labour and Lib Dems, like it was when, what is it?
Coalition.
That's it, coalition.
Right, like we
I
had
knew I'd said it
between
right.
the Tories and the Lib Dems with Nick Clegg and David Cameron.
It could happen again. It could happen again. We're not ruling it out. So Conservatives spent £56,100 on ads. And they had 112 adverts that went out on Meta within 36 hours. In comparison, right, this is going to be really weird, right? Greens spent £8,100, right, where the Lib Dems spent £3,100. But who had the most ads out of them two?
I mean, it depends what you're putting out as an advert, I suppose. If you're just putting out a printout of a slideshow like a PowerPoint, then it doesn't cost much to make, and you can just pump it anywhere. So, from what I've seen, I think it might be the Greens.
The Greens had 8 adverts. 8 adverts. That's just over £1,000 an advert.
They are pitching almost entirely to the city of Brighton, though, aren't they? Like that's it. All you need to do is focus on IP addresses inside Brighton, and that's it. You're fine.
I just don't get it. £8,000 for 8 ads, whereas the Lib Dems have done 41 ads for £3,000. That's nuts.
Well, it's all nuts, but it's also relative as well. Like, you'll see a lot of things like that where they say, "Oh, Labour have doubled the Conservative spending on whatever," but they've spent all that now. Those adverts may not go up until the 4th of July, whereas the Conservatives will outspend them, or the Lib Dems will spend more. It's all relative, so we wait and see, I suppose.
So, one of the questions that I have heard, I'm not too sure if any of them will listen, but I now work in an office, and one of the things I heard, because obviously we had the local elections the other week, and there is someone there who's not very down to earth with politics and stuff, and possibly some people here that are listening or watching may be like, "Oh, what's this then?" So there is a little bit of a difference between a general election and a snap general election. That right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
what is a snap general election, Callum?
So, what do you think a snap general election is?
I'm gonna say he says general election like that. Nah, snap general election. It's not something that's going to be in the future. So where we were thinking it's going to be in the summer or the back end of the year, snap general election within 2 months of announcing it.
Yeah, so pretty much that's bang on. So the difference between a general election and a snap general election is that the Prime Minister has the ability to call a general election whenever he wants. He could come out when he did and say there's going to be a general election in October, which gives everybody time to do some proper campaigning, get ready and everything, and get everything sorted before. But a snap general election is any time within, so you have to give a certain amount of time before to do some campaigning, and a snap general election is the least amount of time that you can give between announcement and voting day, which is 6 weeks. So that's exactly what we've got. We've got the 6 week time window till the 4th of July, and from what I understand, nobody actually saw it coming. He's caught even his own party on the back foot. Didn't discuss it with anybody apart from Isaac Levido, who is the Tory campaign strategist when it comes to elections. He's done all of the elections since David Cameron, right up to now, still doing it, and he's basically the one that's in charge of, we will go on TV here, we will do this advert, we will put this here. Basically, he runs the show. And I believe he was briefed by the Prime Minister, but in terms of speaking to his cabinet and speaking to his ministers, he didn't actually do that. So they found out at the exact same time that everybody else did.
Nice. Do we know why he's called it?
Not for the honest answer is not really. A little bit of me thinks that it's because the inflation numbers are getting better. The recession appears to be slightly easing, but those numbers are not good enough to call an election. You can't build a campaign on those numbers. So it's either that or it's the David Wagner at Huddersfield Town situation where he feels like he's got to a point where he can't turn it round anymore, and he just thinks, right, I'm just gonna go to the country. We'll see what happens. We'll throw everything at this campaign, but it's not actually started very well.
I was almost thinking, where the hell is he going with this?
There you go. It's ball knowledge mixed with legislature knowledge. That's what I bring to this.
So the sort of like little rumor things that I heard was that it had something to do with Nigel Farage, and that Nigel Farage was he had a little bit of a campaign out there already planned and scheduled, that he was going to come back to be an MP.
So it's quite possible that he was either worried or he was happy, because he'd have been worried if Nigel Farage was planning to stand as a Reform MP, because that Reform will be the party that splits the Conservative vote in two. If you're a traditional Conservative voter and you think, oh, I cannot vote for these people anymore, you would vote for... Exactly, yeah. You would vote for Reform, but realistically Reform don't have enough candidates to form a full government, so that's why they say a vote for Reform is a vote for Labour, because you may as well just be giving the opposition your vote. The other thing he may have been happy about is that he may have been expecting Nigel Farage to stand as a Conservative. There's been rumours that he was coming back into the party, and this right-wing populism that's been flooding the Conservative Party at the minute would be allowed to flourish under Nigel Farage. So he may have gone to the country under the assumption that Nigel Farage would turn around and go... Nigel Farage would turn around and go, yeah, I'm behind Rishi, and you all should be as well. So that didn't happen. What transpired was that Nigel Farage is actually planning to go over to America and work with Trump and the Republicans in their election campaigns. I assume he'll be able to get a cushy job over there that doesn't involve much actual day-to-day work. So, yeah, basically he's left Rishi with his shoulders wet and his pants down.
So the sort of things that I've heard with Nigel Farage as well is that he is going to be sort of helping with reform, but he's going to be sort of like backbencher sort of thing. So while he's doing it,
he can't stand as an MP, but he is the like president of the party.
Yeah.
So he's got something to do with it, but he's not directly involved. Like Richard Tice is the leader of the party who is actually going to be in Parliament, and then they have a president, essentially like the Labour Party has grandees, shall we say, that are like old MPs that have been MPs for years and years and years and years and years, and are there to advise and help out. Probably with money.
So, with him calling a snap general election, he's saying we've got a 6 week sort of. There we are. We've got to do it. We've had a lot of issues over the last couple of days with Rishi Sunak's been out on his tour of Great Britain, and it's not gone very well for him. For example, building a red wall. Computer breaks. Building a red wall. Standing in front of an exit sign with the general public, not the general public, the media, saying that he's definitely going to win the next general election. But the other thing that sort of comes and hits to mind is that 78 Conservative MPs have stood down from the running of being elected as an MP. And that is massive. that is the most amount of Conservative MPs that have stood down before a general election since the World War, and since after the biggest sort of landslide of Labour back when Tony Blair was in charge. So it's a big deal.
So people were fairly angry at both of those times. MPs were fairly angry after John Major, just before Tony Blair in 1996, really 97. MPs were very angry at the way things were going, and the best way to direct that anger without causing yourself too much pain in terms of the media would be to say, well, I'm not standing down now, I am going to stand down at the next election, and that is exactly what's happened. So across the House, we've got 120 MPs that are not standing at the next election. That is abnormally high, but it's strange to think that 78 Conservative MPs are planning to stand down. So almost 80% of the MPs that are planning to stand down are Tory MPs, and they're not backbench MPs either. We've got like Michael Gove that's planning to stand down. We've got who else? Theresa May's going. Nadeem Zahawi will be standing down. What is going on here where Tommy keeps disappearing and reappearing from the stream? But yeah, Sajid Javid, Matt Hancock, the former health secretary, is standing down as well. And oh, hello again. What happened to you then?
I was sort of hoping that you may not sort of grab to it. I tried to change.
I was just trying to fill with names then. Thankfully, there's 78 of them to fill with, but I was just trying to get some of the big hitters through.
I was literally just trying to throw it to your camera, and then it was just me I'm just there trying to throw it to you straight away, but it didn't work. I was like, how do I do this?
It did work. You just then disappeared from the stream entirely.
Yeah, and then I stopped my camera, and then tried to get it to go again, and then it just went up. So yeah.
But yeah, large numbers of big hitting Conservative MPs standing down. You know, Theresa May, former Prime Minister, Kwasi Kwarteng, the former Chancellor of the Exchequer, as is Nadeem Zahawi, actually a former Chancellor as well.
Who was it the other day? It was Theresa May and someone else, and they sort of had a little bit of a they had a hug. They crossed the benches.
Yeah, it was Theresa May, and it was the former Westminster of the Scottish National Party, Ian Blackford. And the reason why they had the hug is because he was particularly vicious to her around the Brexit campaign when she was Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And it's always been sort of understood or inferred that they didn't like each other at all, or even on a personal level. So that was quite important. It just shows, you know, they're both leaving Westminster. So, you know.
Sorry, guys. This is going from informal to telling you guys, but I'm interested now. Why has Ian Blackford gone back? Why did he leave the step away from being not the leader? I know he wasn't the leader, but the Westminster leader.
So the whole thing around Ian Blackford is very, very strange. Around that time, the SNP were sort of, well, a little bit broken, and a little bit they still are. I don't think they've recovered from the police tents outside Nicola Sturgeon's house as she and her husband were both arrested. That was the weirdest weekend in British politics for quite some time. But Ian Blackford was always the Westminster leader, and he was pretty vicious all the time. He was just going in on people. He used to go in on when did he take office? Let's have a look. So he took office in 2017, so it's, around when everything was kicking off. But he was around Parliament before that.
It were it want him that said Dodgy Dave. That was the other gun, wasn't it? The other guy from
Yeah,
Labour.
that was oh Christ, what was his name? MP for Bosworth. Oh God, I can't remember his name, but yeah, MP for Bolsover. Something Davies.
Dennis Skinner.
Dennis Skinner. That's it. Yeah, I still refer to the honourable gentleman as Dodgy Dave. Oh, what a time that was!
I know, that's amazing, isn't it?
Withdraw. Yeah, so Ian Blackford left, but at the time he left, all the Partygate things were coming out, and he got in quite a bit of trouble. He was ordered to leave the chamber of the House of Commons by Lindsay Hoyle for what did he say? He
I can't remember what he said.
basically said that Boris Johnson had lied to Parliament, and you can't actually say that outright. So he was asked to leave the House of Commons because he refused to withdraw the words. A bit like Dennis Skinner at the time. He refused to withdraw the statement, he refused to apologise, and he was asked to leave the House of Commons.
So it was in April 2016, Skinner asked the Prime Minister, does the Prime Minister recall that at the time, after he became Prime Minister, under the correlation...
I can hear it in my head.
I was just about to say, is the video playing? I was like, is the video playing? I can't hear it.
Notting ill. No, I can just hear his voice.
Yeah, that was it. And the time he was divided the nation between strivers and scroungers, I asked him a very important question about the windfall he received. He wrote off the mortgage of the premises in Notting Hill. I said to him, he didn't write off the mortgage of the one the taxpayers were helping to pay for at Oxford. I didn't receive a proper answer then. Maybe Dodgy Dave will answer it now.
Yeah. And then, I just love that clip because as he's walking out, all you hear in the background is somebody, one Conservative MP, just go, he's used to this.
He's perfectly capable of asking the question without using that word. Oh, no, wait, that's Lindsay Hoyle's word.
Was it John Bercow at the time?
Yeah, oh, yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's perfectly capable of asking his question without using that word. It's up to him, but if he doesn't wish to withdraw it, I can't reasonably ask the Prime Minister to answer the question. All he has to do is withdraw the word think of another... which word?
I think the right honourable gentleman knows the word beginning with D and ending in Y that I refer to.
You've got it fucking spot on. I know what you're talking about. This man has done more to divide the nation than anybody else. He's looked after his own pocket, and I still refer him as Dodgy Dave.
What a man! What a man! Oh, back when this country was warm. My shoulders are quite wet. It's raining indoors. If only, right? So, here's what I don't understand. Just very quickly on that point. If only the Conservative Party hadn't spent £2.5 million on a brand new Downing Street press room that was inside within the last 2 years. Who is allowing him to do these things, right? Who is in charge of his PR, right? Go outside, announce the election. Yes, it's raining. No, we don't have an umbrella. Don't worry, it'll look great. All right, okay, fine. Go to Wales, right? Ask them about the football. People love football around here. Ask them how they're thinking about the Euros. Are they looking forward to it? Don't tell him that Wales haven't qualified, whatever you do. Just let him sit there and look stupid. Okay, brilliant. All right, then, let's go to a factory. All right, we're going to have him build a wall, right? Yeah, we're going to have the Prime Minister build a wall. What colour will the wall be? Oh, red. Oh, the red wall. Yeah, the red wall of Labour MPs that Keir Starmer's looking to rebuild. Oh, yeah, brilliant. Nice one. Really good idea. Oh, yeah, let's invite the nation's press onto a plane where you can see the exit sign. And let's let them take pictures of our Prime Minister standing there next to a An exit sign. Great idea. Well done. Honest to God, that also that weird Keir Starmer thing that they put out on the first day of after the election is probably the best thing I've seen from them. That is actually quite good. I
That
did
cost
quite
them
like that.
£51,000. Did that?
Yeah, I just quite like the idea. I mean, it's quite clever.
Right. So one thing that I do want to get onto, right, and
Sorry,
this
I
is a
don't know
very
why I
good.
got so wound up about the.
It's because we're talking about Dodgy Dave. Right. So one thing that I do want to get onto now, and I was going to ask in a different way, but now we've got this open, you can see the blue Remain Kia, which includes flip flops. Now, we're not talking about those things that you wear on your feet. We're talking about flipping flopping between saying one thing to another thing. And the Conservatives are very they're very open at saying that Keir Starmer flip flops between saying something and then not doing something. But the thing is, right, and we've had discussion before many, many, many times on that Keir Starmer is allowed to flip flop between one thing to another thing because he is not in charge. He is allowed to say one thing and then do another thing. What he does is not necessarily impacting anything because he's trying to find the right way to move forward and be, I don't know, the best leader or the best leader to date over recent years, the last 14 years, you know, to be that person. I know you're a massive Labour person, and we're trying not to be very biased towards Labour and saying how rubbish the Conservatives have been over the last 14 years. We do have to remember, this is me being impartial right here, right now, that they have had a difficult 14 years, and the most of those difficultness of those 14 years is been since 2019 with the pandemic, the stay-at-home message, and then there was a party at Downing Street. Did that happen? Downing Street?
Just the one. I gather a small gathering of people. Just a bring your own booze sort of carry on.
And
Bring your
then
own suitcase full of booze every day.
And then ever since all that happened, there's been a war that is still ongoing in Ukraine and Russia, a place where the UK and the rest of Europe get the majority of their energy supplies from, that has been cut off. So we can't get any power or energy or anything from them anymore because of everything that's going on. But apparently I hear something about Rishi Sunak's wife's got loads of money in them and they're still giving him loads of money. But I'm not getting onto that right now because that takes me away from what I'm talking about. And then we've also got this little war that's going on in the Middle East that has been one of those wars that has been going on for decades and is only just ramping up even bigger and bigger and bigger. Potentially another war going on between Taiwan and China. So it's all let's throw rockets at everyone and hope that no one notices. So where I'm getting to with that is, yes, they've had a horrendous 14 years, but they have really struggled to get to this part now. And we're now going to be seeing a change between Conservatives and Labour. We've not seen, or I've not seen myself at the moment, any sort of mandatey sort of stuff, any policies that have come out, apart from the big massive one that hit on Rishi Sunak's day of rest, which was this. So it was the first major policy that Rishi Sunak has announced is that 18-year-olds in Britain will have to do a mandatory national service. Before we get onto it, mandatory, what is the definition of the word mandatory?
Is this a question?
Yes.
This is a question for me.
Yes.
Well, mandatory, I believe, right, and do correct me if I'm wrong. Mandatory is something that you have to do. It isn't a choice.
So, for example, if it was mandatory for an 18-year-old to do national service via either going into the British Army for a year or volunteering every weekend for a year, you have to do that. There is no questions asked. There is no getting around it by going, I can't do it this week. Can I do it next year? No, it's mandatory. You must do it.
Pretty much.
There. It's required by law or mandate, which means it is compulsory. No, it's not compulsory, but you have to do it no matter what. So, Conservatives, if you're flipping flopping between saying one thing and then doing another, why come out and say, oh, yeah, you've got to do this mandatory thing that we're going to put out there, and all of a sudden, nah, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. You're not going to be sent to prison, all right? Don't you worry about it, pal. You can just get on just fine with however you want to do it. False.
I have many. None of them are particularly good, but I will hark back to the point that you were making just before we brought this up, just very quickly, that yes, it's all right for the Labour Party and Keir Starmer to move their policy and change their policy before, but now we are 6 weeks away from an election. We need to start seeing some actual genuine policy written down, and for the record, I don't think we've seen enough from what. So I saw a thing with the rest is politics. Alistair Campbell and Rory Stewart, the former Tory MP. Right.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think Rishi Sunak might have just stood outside because it's absolutely chucking it down.
Oh yeah. He'll be out doing a press conference later. What was it? Yeah. So Rory Stewart basically was doing like a live show, and he asked the audience, he was like, "I would like to vote for Labour, but the economy is one of the most important things in this country. In fact, probably the most important. How the country is doing financially, how we are doing financially, how you manage the money. And if I ask you this question, to answer it honestly, can you tell me what Labour's economic policy is?" Because,
Question.
yeah.
No.
What is Labour's economic policy? Can you tell me?
No.
I don't think anyone can, because nobody knows. We're 6 weeks away from an election. Announce something.
Yeah.
Tell
I think this is the
people what's
one
going
thing.
on.
This is the one thing that has annoyed me, is the whole fact of like, you've got probably one of the easiest ever election campaigns that you are ever going to get in your life. Just put something out there.
Like, and I've seen that, like, Rachel Reeves has been on the television, who is the shadow chancellor, would be the first female chancellor that the country has ever had, should Labour win the election. But she said that they will not cut. Yeah, they will. Right. So, sorry, just checks notes. Labour will not increase national insurance or income tax while they're in government, which is fine, and that is good, but that is not enough to convince people to vote for you. If there's going to be more people in this election that would be willing to vote Labour that have never voted Labour before, because of how the Tories are polling and because of how bad their PR looks. They will be there for the taking, and if Labour don't take them, I still think that they will win the election, but I don't think that if they don't take these opportunities, I don't think that they'll be winning the election with the mandate that current polling suggests that they should have, which will be a massive missed opportunity.
I just think that's like, at the moment, the thing that everyone's going to be looking at more. And I know that ever since like Rishi Sunak's coming out and saying about this thing for 18-year-olds, it's going to get, the Conservatives are going to get like the top end of the vote, so that elder sort of people are going to vote Conservatives for that mandate, and then 18-year-olds are going to be voting for Labour because they don't want that to come in. I think one part that I missed about the flippy floppy is that 6 months ago, Rishi Sunak's spokesperson said the Prime Minister did not agree with comments made by General Sir Patrick Sanders in a speech on a Wednesday in like 6 months ago. I was forced to insist that there would be no return to national service, which was abolished in 1960. So you've gone from saying no to it to now bringing it in. And Tom Newton-Dunn put out a tweet the other day regarding the costings of it. And it's a bit confusing because although you say it's like voluntary, there is some costings that are behind it. And I think at the moment, it sounds like Conservatives are doing as much as possible to rewrite the note that was left for the Conservatives by Tony Blair, or the whoever the Chancellor was.
Dear Prime Minister, I'm very sorry there is no money.
Yeah. But just crossing the date out and putting a new date on it, because that's all that it seems to be at the moment. Just money, 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 but there's no sort of like, where's that money coming from? So Tom Newton-Dunn did say that national service is a very interesting idea, but I'm seriously struggling to understand the Tory costings for it. They're nowhere near add up. So there are 717,000 18-year-olds in the UK. Even if half of them sign up for military service, instead of opting for volunteering, the £2.5 billion a year that the Tories have allocated for it is a per capita spending of £6,000 a head. And that's to train, equip, house, and presumably pay all of them an annual salary. Again, if you're volunteering to do, or just basically doing a mandatory sort of thing, should you not be getting paid? You shouldn't be getting paid to do it, should you?
Well, you still have to live.
Yeah, but like you, if you're going to be living on an army barracks, you're going to have all that supplied for you.
But in terms of the way that they're going to do it, we don't actually know. I personally, I don't think it's going to. Well, I don't think I'm ever going to see it happen. Because it would be the weirdest backward step in terms of policy that we have seen since Thatcher tried to take away children's milk. It just doesn't add up. The numbers don't add up, and it is quite clear what this is. This is not a vote to try and get young people on side. This is not a policy that's going to get anybody excited, apart from the right-wing populist element of the elderly that the Conservatives have almost been grooming to try and get them to vote for them, in terms of selling themselves as a right-wing thing, making everything about immigration, making everything about small boats, saying that the immigrants coming into your town, they're the enemy, not us. We need to stop them together. It's almost like they're shifting the blame onto right-wing topics. They're trying to whip up this right-wing frenzy and trying to be UKIP without actually calling themselves UKIP. And this is just another way of being able to tune into the people that would vote for that sort of agenda. It's like national service, exactly like it was when we were kids. Oh yeah, brilliant, let's bring that back. And every young person I've seen so far reacting to that policy is almost laughing. It's like there's not a chance.
Absolutely.
That happen.
And I also think it's quite funny, again, with the flip-flopping. 6 months ago, didn't want to have a return of national service. 6 months later, announcing it as one of the major policies, along with the smoking thing that they had already got through Parliament. but now they've stopped putting it through until he comes back into to be prime minister in his next term. Don't get it, but so underline the word mandatory. So this is coming from what's his face, James Cleverly, who is the Home Secretary. I have just dropped my pen. There we go. So basically, nobody would go to jail for refusing to comply with national service under a Conservative government. I love how it's under a Conservative government. It's almost like they're trying to say that, well, if we're not going to do the national service, we're not the only one that's going to do it. Everyone else is doing it. And it's just like, no, you're the one that have announced it to say that you are going to do it. So under a Conservative government, you're not going to go to jail for refusing to comply with it. Anyway, in the Conservatives' first policy announcement of the general election campaign, Rishi Sunak has said on Saturday that he would introduce a new form of mandatory national service for 18-year-olds if his party win the vote in July. They'll be given a choice. So this is what it is. It's a choice between a full-time military placement for 12 months or a scheme to volunteer for 1 weekend a month for a year. The military option would be selective, but questions have arisen over whether any teenager who refuses to do either option will be punished. Talking to the Sky News on Sunday morning with Trevor Phillips, Home Secretary James Cleverly said there's going to be no criminal sanctions. Nobody's going to go to jail over this. He added that nobody will be compelled to do the military element and said that those who will be paid and those who choose to do volunteer will not be paid. So that's the question there. Mr. Cleverly also said that the main point of the policy is to make sure that people mix with people outside of their bubble for community cohesion. Well, why can we not just do like apprentice schemes and stuff like that, mixing people with people of their own age and getting them into better skills, into workplaces and stuff like that to meet new people?
So we're essentially offering, this is what they're offering, right? You can go and become a frontline soldier, or you can do an extended version of a Duke of Edinburgh course.
Basically.
Those are essentially the options. And it's like, it reminds me, right, so I spent the whole time, while I wasn't reporting on the election day, I spent the whole time tweeting out just clips of the TV show The Thick of It. And this reminds me of a very particular scene where they're sat in the back of the car and they mention a policy and the minister turns around and goes, no, that was absolute 4 a.m. stuff. We'll never mention that. Please, God, don't mention that. That's what this is. This is 4 a.m. sat in a policy meeting wondering what the hell to talk about, and then someone goes, what about we bring back national service, but we pay for it by the taxpayer, and we don't force people to do it. We just say that you have to do something with your weekend, and we make that mandatory for everybody.
I just don't get it, because the come up with like keeping kids in education until they're 18-year-old. Right, tick. You don't have to stay in education if you don't want to, but you do have to do an apprentice. You've got to do an apprenticeship. So as long as you are in school until you are 18, 1 day a week until you are 18, you can work the other 4 days doing whatever you want to do. As long as they're on the apprentice scheme, you can do that. Why not just create a whole new apprentice scheme that just rids of the value of staying in school until you're 18? Or if you want to keep it, Fair enough. Perfect. Go for it. But there are so many people now since the pandemic that do not want to be in work, that do not want to do anything. And these people are leaving the economy short in certain ways, certain sectors such as hospitality and things like that. No one wants to be a chef no more. No one wants to do any of that stuff. The easy peasy stuff that on paper seems piece of piss, no one wants to do no more. Where are all those people that were 16-year-old that were going to culinary college that wanting to be the next Gordon Ramsay, and that idiot that got rid of turkey twizzlers? You know, where were all those people? You know, and you see it every now and then. It's like I start watching that Warship Battle at Sea or something like that were on Channel 5 again. And there's like so many people that go into the army just to work in the kitchen on a warship. Why can we not do that? Like, why can we not get people working in hospitality, doing shit like that, basically, doing jobs that no one else wants to do? Create a brand new skill set. Jess Phillips, MP, said, "What happened to the mandatory maths?" As a mother of an 18-year-old, I'm thinking he's not thought this through. You know, 18-year-old.
They haven't thought this through. Their whole
18-year-old.
direction. Their whole policy direction is just a joke at the minute.
You should literally, right, be trying to get young voters on side. That is what Labour have been doing ever since Jeremy Corbyn. They are getting young voters on side because these are the times and these are the people that are going to vote properly in their numbers if you turn around to them and say, right, 18-year-olds get a free PlayStation and free Wi-Fi. People are going to go vote for them because they know that that is how they are going to be for the next 5 years under this government. Yes, they're not going to care where the money comes from because they're going to have free Wi-Fi at the end of the day. They're not going to think of the consequences of, oh, well, your wages are going to be shitter because that's where the taxpayers' money is going to come from. Or that's where the money to pay for this mandate is going to come from because it's going to come from your pocket. Someone said that it's not it's state mandate volunteering isn't volunteering, it's conscripted, and it's everything that the country stands against. Someone else has also said maybe instead of national service for 18-year-olds, they should introduce a national service for MPs, because we all know that MPs are not down with the kids. We all know that MPs just sit in their own little bubble, earn so many millions a year, and do sweet, mind my French, fuck all for it. So I say that they've got to have to do several weeks of volunteering in schools, GPs, hospitals, care homes, social care, and police within their first 12 months of office. That's what I think they should be doing instead of getting people to go, you know what? Do you see this gun here? Go shoot it at that person over there. And for example, leaked documents have also said that teens would be jailed or parents will be fined if they don't go up with national service.
It's a good way to solve the prison overcrowding problem, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's the next thing.
Some actual real breaking news that's very relevant to this.
Oh, hang on a second, Callum. Hang on a second. Do we need to make a breaking news?
Oh God, this is
not going to be worth it, is it, mate?
No, entirely not. So Rishi Sunak has just told reporters regarding this national service policy that this is the right thing to do because this is how we will deliver a secure future for everyone and our country. We are not going to do that without taking bold action, and that's the type of leadership that I offer. This modern form of national service will mean that young people get the skills and opportunities that will serve them very well in life. It's going to foster a culture of service which is going to be incredibly powerful for making our society more cohesive, and in a more uncertain and dangerous world, it's going to strengthen our country's security and resilience. For all these reasons, I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. Yes, it is bold, but that's the kind of leadership I offer. So, I just want to pull that slowly apart, like a lion pulling apart a gazelle. So he said there, young people get the skills and opportunities that will serve them very well in life. Correct. That's if they don't get their legs, arms, or head blown off. You don't get your legs, arms, or head blown off when you're doing an apprenticeship, do you?
But do we really reckon, right, that he is going to put these 18-year-olds on the front line.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it. It absolutely sounds like it. I don't really know, but yeah, probably. I mean, I wouldn't actually be surprised, which is genuinely
It's
quite terrifying.
weird. I just don't. I don't understand it at all. I just don't get it. It's strange. I just don't understand it. It's like, yeah, okay, you might not have many people that are, for example, going into or wanting to be part of the British Army, but you've got to be, you've got to have something more there for, like for people to want to go into it, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just force people to go in the army. People go in the army if they want to. If they want to choose that as a career path, go for it. Absolutely fine. You can't force people to do things that you don't want to do. Like, and then what? Like, there is no. People always say like, oh, they're it's a sense of national pride. People will be proud to serve. Yeah, maybe at one point in time, but people, on the whole, quite genuinely couldn't give a shit about the country anymore. They really couldn't. So I don't know. I don't know what to suggest.
National service policy is part of levelling up agenda. Oh, and Callum has gone. I don't know where he's gone, but yeah. So it's coming up saying basically national service policy is part of the levelling up agenda. So this is coming from a Sky News website. We asked Tory Party Deputy Chair James Daly why the national service policy is a vote winner. He said it creates resilience and will give young people the opportunity to upskill, give back their communities, or work with a government agency or charity. He said he's been door knocking this morning and voters like it. Just last Thursday, a Tory Defence Minister said the government had no plans to bring back national service. So he asked what the change between now and then. Mr. Daly did not answer the question, instead saying the policy is very clear and similar to other countries in Europe. Asking about the comment from Tory Minister and candidate that the policy has been sprung on them, Mr. Daly disagrees. He said it's typical of the Prime Minister to give opportunities for community service and denied the suggestions. It was unconservative to have something like this forced upon people by the state. Mr. Daly insists it was completely in line with the ultimate conservative policy of creating pathways for people to thrive. He also defended the fact that money earmarked the levelling up will be used for this policy instead. Levelling up is about levelling up opportunities, and this part of levelling up agenda. I got there. Hello, welcome back.
Hello, sorry, just there. This is going to be really, really irritating, but I'm going to have to pause us for a second. If can we do that? Can we just pause the recording?
We can do, yes. That's no problem at all.
Right, we're going to have to do that. Just 1 second.
That is no problem.
Whoever's watching this is going to be like, and then a nanosecond, so it's fine.
That's no problem at all. That's no worries. Right, let's go take a break. Let's go let Callum go do what he wants to do, what he needs to do, and we'll be right back shortly.
Every eligible person in the UK can place a vote and be part of electing their local representative to Parliament. Parties and candidates campaign to win votes by visiting constituents door to door, holding debates and publishing manifestos, a bit like a shopping list of what they plan to do if they're voted in. But how does the election work? The UK is divided into 650 constituencies, each of which is represented by one Member of Parliament. Voters register for a polling card to make sure they can take part. On election day, polling stations are open from dawn till dusk. And if a voter can't make it along, there are other ways to make sure they can take part. Once every vote has been placed, the ballots are counted to find out which candidate has come out on top in each area. This is called first past the post. The elected MPs enter Parliament to sit in the House of Commons and represent everyone in their constituency. The political party with the most MPs, the majority, is invited by the Queen to form a government. And if there's a hung parliament where there's no clear winner, then a minority government or a coalition government may be created or a fresh election held. So on this one day, a little piece of paper with your mark plays a big role in deciding who leads our country.
Get only get better. Get only get better. Now that I found you in your Bermuda.
Just as a point of reference there for the video that we've just seen, I would have voted for Philip Bing Bong, or whatever his name was, on the ballot card there right at the end.
I wasn't even looking.
I don't know what he stands for, but I like his name.
Right, so that was a very abrupt end to what we were talking about, but yeah,
It's all fast and free flowing, and then whoa, things had to stop being fast and free flowing and slow right down and stop flowing.
So just to recap, not much has sort of been said over the last couple of days. Nothing's come out as much from the conservative camp on what their mandates are going to be, what their manifestos are going to be, and then same with Keir Starmer. Really, we've just been having a little bit of a discussion about it now because I know that we've literally just had a go at Rishi Sunak through our podcast, but that's not how we want to do things. We want to be a little bit
Impartial.
That's the word.
And we are. Like, it's my job essentially to broadcast all sides equally. I have personal views, obviously, but in terms of working and things like that, I try and, well, I am as impartial as possible. So, there are things already that Labour have got wrong, and there are more things that Labour will get wrong. But it's just that right now, because of the way that the country is and the way that things are swinging, everybody is picking up on every little thing the Conservatives are doing wrong.
Absolutely. And I think that's been the way for the last few years since basically the whole COVID thing and having the parties in COVID and stuff like that, just breaking the lockdown rules in general. I also think it's probably got people wouldn't be so as harsh on the Conservatives if it was still Boris Johnson in charge and none of those mistakes had happened because, for example, with the way that they do the leadership roles and stuff like that, we've not elected Rishi Sunak to be in charge of this country. So I think that's where it comes from. But one person that he's trying to be elected as Prime Minister through the right channels, through the British polling system, is Keir Starmer. And we're just going to have a brief little chat about him now at the moment because he has been talking today. It is Monday. I think it is. This podcast is going to go out today, same day sort of shit. So we'll get right onto that if you are listening. Same day shit. If you are listening on Spotify, it's probably Tuesday. So happy Tuesday. But yeah, so one thing that Keir Starmer has said today is that he does know that he's not won voters over yet. So his message of change is potent. And he's basically saying that, he's trying to get away from, his upbringing and stuff like that because he knows that people are just going to see him as a lawyer that has been to posh school and done all these fancy jobs and stuff like that. And he's trying to become one of us.
Guys, basically, I'm just asking for a chance. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And that's where we end today's podcast, guys. We're not going to top that. Thanks very much. See you all next time.
Yeah. Wait. We have to talk about Keir Starmer and his loyal deputy, of course, Angela Rayner.
Now, to be fair, right, I do think we are due change. And this is my like
14
impartial
years
view.
of-
Yeah. It's like I do understand. I understand the whole backgrounds of the Conservatives and that they've attempted to do as good as they can do, and they have done. They really have done. As I said earlier on, they've had a lot of stuff that they've had to go through, such as COVID and shit like that. And yeah, they may not have done a great job with it, but you've never done that before. No one's ever had to do that before, and hopefully, we're never going to have to do that again in our lifetimes. But one thing that Keir Starmer is trying to do is get on the side of voters, and one way that he has done that is basically by saying that anything that he says over his election campaign, he's going to implement within the first 100 days of his leadership. And one of those things that he has said today is that he wants to put VAT on private school fees. He says that it's intolerable that kids at state schools don't have the teachers they need. And I think that goes down the same route of the line that we went down a couple of months ago, sometime last year, basically saying that, these teachers that we've got at the moment, they're doing all these hours, all these jobs and stuff like that, and they're just not getting much pay for it.
Pretty much what's been going on. And I think his plan, or him and Rachel Reeves' plan, would be to get inside the Treasury and really see where the money has been going, where the potential revenue avenues are that they can start to exploit in terms of maybe putting things like private school taxes higher up on the list than the Conservatives would do. The one thing that they cannot be, which a Labour government has been for every other Labour government, is Labour cannot afford to be a tax and spend government. And what I mean by that is Labour are going to have to rely on the money that's already sitting inside the Treasury for those first 100 days. They cannot put taxes up to pay for the things that they're trying to sell to the electorate. They will have to find other revenue streams, other money pots where potentially the taxes aren't coming out of individuals' pockets, they're coming out of companies, or they're coming out of offshore, or they're coming out of other ways, other things that they've cut back on. Because as soon as you turn into a tax and spend government, that gives people the immediate impetus to say, right, okay, well, you've put my taxes up, so actually, what a terrible idea this has been.
I also think it's like with me, you see the tax coming out, but you don't see like where it's actually going. It's like with the whole of like this Rwanda sort of policy and stuff, we've seen lots of it, and this is where all our money is going, but we've not seen anything happening on top of that. For example, like people may not be happy with what is happening. Like I wouldn't say departing as such, but removing them to another country, via the taxpayers. But it's not happening. You're seeing that they spend billions and billions of pounds on it, and then you sort of hear, well, none of this is going to happen until after we've been elected. The first flights are going after the general election. But it seems like every other month he's been saying the flights are going next week, the flights are going next month, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And now they're going after the general election. I don't think so.
No, well, this is it. It's like, as much as Labour need to announce their own policy, there's also quite a lot of pretty terrible policies that they will need to row back from.
Yeah.
Which leaves them in a poor position because the Conservatives will have already spent money on these policies, already started to lay the foundations for things like the Rwanda scheme. And Labour, if they want to pursue the idea that, this is a completely clean break, then they need to row back from the Rwanda policy entirely, which leaves an around £200 billion black hole in their finances. Which is a large amount to claw back.
And where are you going to find that from, basically?
Exactly. So they have to hit, if they're the party of the working people, which is the idea that we've been sold that they are, then they're going to have to hit the big institutions and the private schools, things like that. The higher tax bans, also things like that will make them very popular amongst working people, but really quite unpopular amongst the traditional reform conservative voting sort of people. So yeah, it's a troubling time.
I think it's going to be a very close battle, and I want to say Rishi's not got the gift of the gab for like a general election sort of like winning strategy, because I don't think he's very good at speaking, and if he gets challenged on the spot, he's not very good at giving an on the spot answer, whereas Keir Starmer is. So I think like in the sort of gift of the gab sort of shit, and we're gonna get some like debates on TV and stuff like that. Rishi Sunak wanted one like every single day for the next 6 weeks or something stupid like that. Where Keir Starmer said, no, we're not going to do that, because I certainly don't want to hear you say the same thing every single day. Neither do the British public. It's going to get boring by day 2. Yeah.
They debate each other every week at Prime Minister's questions anyway. There's no need to add another debate in there.
Yeah.
I think Rishi should focus on getting out and trying to win over voters, because they're the people that are that need to see him, to hear him, to understand what his plan is to reverse 14 years of quite poor Conservative performance.
I've got a really great idea that has just come up to me, and if you are on the Sky News thing now, they just put a photo of him in the live thing from Chesham United FC playing football.
Oh,
I've
seen a tweet about that just now.
We need to rework Soccer Aid and have it Rishi Sunak versus Keir Starmer, and they are the captains of their own teams, and they get to choose who they want to be on their team.
Oh, look at him. Look at him. I mean, that's just...
He's got a bit of like Michael McIntyre in his face, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know, like where Michael... where he jokes that he looks like a Chinese boy when he smiles.
Yeah. Dear God. Well, I mean... Yeah, well, that's the state of play. I think we fairly comprehensively covered cover to cover election shit there.
Nah, I don't know.
Just sitting looking at a picture of Rishi Sunak playing football. That's not where I thought this would go.
So we've not discussed this yet. So let's discuss it now. Let's do a little bit of on-air planning.
Oh God.
Where do we go with this from now? Like, we've been, I'd say we've been fairly consistent with the month thing, and we've now found somewhere where we can record properly better and do better content for people. We will find out, because we've not actually put an episode out with this new StreamYard yet. But
we have. Yes, we have.
We've not properly promoted it. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, you should have said that then, shouldn't
you? So I think it'd be nice to see what people say regarding that. I've got more people now on my social media than what I did when we were doing it before. So if they are listening or watching, hello, let me know what you think of it. Don't be too harsh. Don't give me my P45 yet, will you?
Too harsh. I could really do without that. I just want people to just come here and just boost us up.
Yeah, we're not here to sort of have a go at one sort of person. We are impartial, as we've said. We're not just going to gun one person down. Yes, it's been very Rishi Sunak heavy episode today. That's because Rishi Sunak has, come out with...
I believe he's the Prime Minister.
Yeah, he's come out with one of the first sort of policies that he's going to implement when he becomes, or if he gets voted in to be Prime Minister on the 5th of July. So we'll see. So where do we go from this? When more sort of manifesto policy shit comes out, we'll go again.
Yeah, and I mean, it's election time, so there'll be events happening all the time. There'll be opportunities for massive fuck ups, which we can absolutely capitalise on. So yeah, there's going to be plenty of time.
We can be. And remember, this is a place of uproar and confusion. We cause Bedlam, and we're here to break everything down for you. Anything in that's going on. Yes, it's been very political heavy, and that's the way that we wanted to go down when we first started this over a year ago. Yes, over a year ago, Callum.
Correct. That's frightening.
And it's been a place of change over the last year. Like, you've changed your living quarters.
Beautifully finessed.
And I've got a bit of breaking news.
I changed my postcode. We'll put it that way.
I've got a bit of breaking news. What? I've come off my antidepressants.
Woo! Ole, 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 ole. Play the song. Come on. Let's ole. Quite ironic there that we're playing a song by Joy Division, the frontman of which killed himself due to depression.
Anyway, yeah, so thanks again for listening. We do have a socials literally down here. So this is mine. Callum's is right there. Go follow him. Callum's more
funny election stuff going on.
Callum is more political than what I am on my sort of socials.
Well, that social media is my politics work social media. So
but you don't have a private.
I don't anymore. Twitter. I used to do.
No, I'm not very political on Twitter. So if you want to follow me for funny sort of shit, memes, whatever, go for it. If you want to follow Callum and be a bit more serious and challenge him about the way that his ginger hair looks ginger, then go for it. You're more than welcome to do so. He could have worn something a little bit more contrasting with his hair, but yellow will do just fine. Anyway, go follow all our social.
Yes,
absolutely. Go follow all our social medias that are in the video after. They are also all linked below as well as. And go give us a like. Go give us a like, give us a share. Let us know what you think. Yes, obviously, don't do what I've put in the bottom down there. Don't tell me who you're voting for. I don't want to know. I'm not bothered. I'm just here. I'm just here to be impartial. I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to vote for. I'm not bothered. I don't care. I am going to vote so I can have an opinion and I can come here every other week and tell Callum how wrong he is. But yeah.
You don't even have to express that opinion if you don't want. Actually, I want you to express your opinion, but everyone watching at home, don't tell me because I don't care.
But yeah, so I've been Tom. This is Callum. Is amazing. Is proper fit and shit. Yeah. Anyway, right, as I say, all the socials are in the after video for this. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share, whatever it is to boost us, and we will see you soon whenever anyone starts talking about manifestos and shit. Yeah. So we'll find out. But yeah, and yeah. Nah, I'm not that tight.
Also, Leeds are staying down. Up the bloody Saints. Come on.